Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. Whoa, hit my microphone. What is going on, Chip? Great to be back on another great episode here on the chain. Today, XRP crypto, a Senate hearing that has now determined that crypto is actually magic internet money. Go figure. Go figure. It took them to tell us that it's just magic internet money. But we're going to get into this thing. We're going to talk a little bit about some XRP projects, stuff that's kind of the partnerships or building on or utilizing somewhere in this XRP ledger space, intertwined with some Ripple. I don't know, Chip, but there's a ton of things to get into, not just the Senate hearing and all the clowns over there in Washington. There's actually some there's actually some good stuff to get into.
It is a clown show, but yeah. Let's do it then. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, Jeff, to On the Chain. Good to be here. Good to be here. Good to unpack it. Plenty's going on. But as we always say here on the chain, time to dive in headfirst into the shallow end. You know why, Jeff?
Directly into the shallow end.
Maximum impact, my man. There you go. So let's just start it off on an interesting positive note here. Worldline partners with Bexs Pay for cross-border remittance from Brazil. And as many of you will recall, yes, Worldline is a RippleNet partner. So you got France-based payment service provider Worldline. They teamed up with Brazil-based Bexs Pay to launch a cross-border remittance product for the online payments from Brazil. And then the product combines the Bexs Pay wide range of payment methods with Worldline's ability of the cross-border process payments without the need for local entity, making it a solution for international online businesses.
Sweet. And it's not called XRP PayNet?
It is not, Jeff. It's a real thing. It's a legit thing. It's in process. Brazil's e-commerce industry has experienced a double-digit growth rate in recent years. This is all despite political and economic crisis. Registered 13.6 billion transactions the first half of 2021. I think so. Brazil is the largest country in South America, but it's cool to see this. According to the partnership between Worldline and Bexs Pay will deliver key benefits to customers, including wide range of payment methods. Now this includes Pix and Boleto. I guess those are two sub-pay things. Help facilitate local transactions without the need for no local entity, which is kind of good. They're kind of getting rid of that like in between, right? Somebody that can piggyback some more fees on there. Offer installment recurrent payment capability. Nice. Offer funds remittance out of the region in USD or the euro.
The Worldline. Man, there were so many different articles that we posted up in the Keep file, on Worldline. There are a ton of things going on.
Yeah, I put a couple of them in here just to kind of show. I always like to make sure it shows some of this stuff. Now, this was
a RippleNet partner, RippleNet member, I should say. Yeah.
So interestingly enough, this one came out in November. Just a month ago, Jeff. Look at that. A month ago, Worldline, RippleNet partner Worldline offers cross-border solution suite in India. So they're making some waves out there. And again, if it's not Ripple, like you brought up in the intro, it's somebody building on a partner of some kind. And they launched a new full-service cross-border solution designed to fit the needs of international online businesses who are looking to expand or optimize their e-commerce in India. And they don't have a local payments infrastructure. So we're starting to see a common theme here. Yeah. This is all designed for businesses.
Oh, yeah. And that's a good thing. That's the one area that is in need. As we've discussed many times before, it's not just the big financial institutions, not just the banks, but the B2B space is just primed and ready for easy mechanism to move money. And it's interesting focusing in on specific countries, like Brazil, India, and some others. India is an interesting case study, though, because as they expand into India, there's this conflict over there of utilizing positive blockchain type technology and not liking blockchain type crypto technology. So
back and forth on that one all the time.
Yeah, very confusing.
So, yeah, again, they offered a suite of the suite solution, or I should say, the solution suite includes they get the process in India without requirement for local entity. Again, common theme there. Setting up local entity in India can be time consuming, requires knowledge of local regulation. So, sort of bypassing that, you can provide access to mandated and popular local payment methods, the RuPay, UPI QR, net banking, which we've covered in the past, heard a lot about each one of those. Quarter of the online spending in India is estimated to go through international card networks. And then the merchants can list their services either in Indian rupee, known as the INR, or to consumers via these payment methods, which is critical for the conversion and the customer experience. Because obviously, if you're going to receive it over there, you want to be able to put it into the rupees because it's the local fiat currency.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good thing. If you want to spend it,
except for the effects fluctuation there, that's only the downside to that, because it does seem
that's
to
a big downside over there.
flux a little bit. And then manage data within boundaries of Indian compliance regulations such as privacy. And pulled up this tweet too, which was for Matthew Liny, Ripple partner worldwide, working on a decentralized social media platform to rival Facebook and Instagram with the EU. And to secure data and the development of value-creating strategies. Let's take a look.
Now we're getting a little crazy.
Well, it starts getting a little bit, but it's interesting. This is I would call it Helios. No, it's weird.
Helios. That's one you got to know how to spell.
We haven't heard much about this, though, to be honest.
No, it probably is a little pet project. Probably not going to get too much traction.
Or it might have already been sunsetted. Who knows?
Could be. I mean, that's a big one. You stick to your payment space. Don't worry about the social media space, and try to do the payments really well. If you're already in the social media space, like a WhatsApp, and you can somehow partner with a payment provider or latch in, if you're a Facebook, and you can latch in a payment provider into your massive social media communication platform, WhatsApp, then maybe you can do something. But
crypto
going from payments the other way. Come on.
Exactly. It seems like a conflict there. You don't need a Crypto G says, "What's up, OTC?" Got Jim D says, "Good evening, new subscribers and all." And by the way, if you want to subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Why don't they just do that right now, Jeff? Let's get it out. We always say that to our one person at the very end, but you should subscribe, and click the notification bell just because you love us. Why not? Could give us a shot. You'd be like, "Hey, it's my first time here. I don't know. Can I make that commitment?" Sure, you can make the commitment. I don't see why you couldn't. There we go. I guess I got to remove that other one first, but it's kind of how it goes. Yes. Top class channel boy says Whitefly. Thank you so much.
Man, I saw Mama Lacey in here, tuned in a little
Mama
bit
Lacey's
earlier.
in there. Good.
We got Whitefly00. That's very cool.
Randy Bob's in here. Is that Babe Bob?
Aloha.
Yeah, aloha. Aloha. It's got to be from Hawaii, or he just loves to stay in Hawaii. Very easy hydroponics. Alan, another big supporter. Of course, Liz is in here. What's up here, OTC fam? Good to see you in here, Liz. Yeah, it's good to see you. So, guys, the hearing happened today. Jeff and I kind of tuned in.
And tuned out.
Tuned out as fast as we could. It was just, I don't even know where to start, Jeff. It was
oh my God.
It was, I guess it was a 180 from what we saw in the House. I mean, the Senate is a different place, of course. Look at Reg Mabry for that support. He says the SEC loses case today because of speculation. The SEC suffers rare in-house loss and insider trading case. Yeah, that's another interesting thing that I saw in the feed today, Jeff. I don't know. Well, in an insider trading case, that might be a rare loss, but it's not rare for the SEC to lose a case. But in this case, this instance, yes. Yeah, we'll have to bring that up, Jeff. We'll have to pull that up if we have time. But again, and they do lose cases. Sometimes they lose 1 out of every 3, 2 out of, or 1 out of 3.
They just don't report it afterwards. Right, if they win, then it's all good. And they're partying and celebrating. If they lose, it ends up on a back page someplace.
Yeah, it's like, what? That case ended? Nobody knows. It was not a big deal, Jeff.
Man, I was all excited to tune in when Elizabeth Warren was getting ready to say something, and then I got a phone call, and kind of that was that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of it. But let's just why don't we preface it here, because I think it was it Sherrod Brown that opened it up with let me just give you sort of the gist of the opening was cryptocurrencies are destroying people and homes and the planet and life as we know it. And it's horrible, and it'll never
Bad for everybody.
It'll never flip around, and it's not good for cross-border. It's not good for payments in general. It's a horrible thing for that.
It's just internet magic money.
Yeah, magic money. It's a joke. It's a
magic internet money. It's just like doesn't make sense.
And this was all about stablecoins, but I wanted to. So let's start it out with Pat Toomey here, because then he countered that. He was the second one in the hearing.
Yeah, they should have had Maxine Waters do the open.
Maxine Waters did a phenomenal job. I have to compliment her. She did such an elegant opening, right? Eloquent.
It was shocking. Yeah, it was
fantastic.
Shocking.
It was a really solid introduction. I was like, whoa, what's this all about? And I don't know if I can say the same thing, but Pat Toomey basically says stablecoins are an exciting new technology that create opportunities for faster payments, expanded access to the payment system, programmability, and more. I hope my colleagues will join me in working to create a sensible regulatory regime that allows innovation to thrive. Now, it just seems like there was some party line splits going on there. For the most part. Let me open this up here so we can.
And there was a lot of conversation over stablecoin as well. It wasn't so much.
Well, it was all stablecoin. It was all stablecoin.
Yeah. So,
which I don't care about, Jeff. Well. I care this much about stablecoins. I don't care if they're here. I don't care if they're around. I don't care about anything about them.
Well, one of the things that they brought up. So if they're referencing it's all magic, and it was the exact same thing. Very easy over here. Alan is saying that's exactly what they said about the internet. It's like
true
magic communication, and the internet was going to destroy all these other industries. And there's no way any of these brick and mortar type industries would ever survive on the internet. It's not going to work out. It's just a fad. Like Amazon was a fad. Used book sales on the internet, not going to work, not going to happen. And these guys, they always seem to be just way behind the eight ball.
Yeah, it's like anything new, everybody has to just down talk it all the time. But let's listen to Pat Toomey. Did you hear audio on that before, Jeff?
Yeah. Yep.
Today, and this is important because you are concerned that the administration at this point is perhaps taking some measures or advocating taking some measures that would impinge on stablecoins, on their growth, on their ability to innovate at this point. What do you think's happening?
Exactly
what are you
right,
hear
Becky.
today?
Well, so first, I want to say this is a really exciting new technology. It creates opportunities and possibilities for faster payments for over time, I think, for virtually free payments. There's the programmability, which is, I think, going to be a very, very exciting innovation in finance. So what I want to do is make sure we don't do anything to stifle this tremendous technology. The President's Working Group came out with a report that you may be aware of, and they recommend that all stablecoin issuers must be insured depository institutions. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me for a lot of reasons, because especially most fundamentally, stablecoin issuers in many important ways do not look like banks and so should not be subject to bank regulation. So I'm going to release later today a set of principles that I would like to see as the guideline for the legislation we should develop. We're going to hear today from experts and participants in the market. And I hope we're going to end up with a sensible, thoughtful regulatory regime that allows this innovation to thrive.
Yeah. What are the chances of that happening, Jeff?
Yeah. It's well, the thing is, these guys have definitely, they got to get out of the way. They have to get out of the way of their own, ignorance. Mr. Wright's bringing this up here. He says, would you say regulation is a generational problem and not a blue versus red problem? And no. I don't know if that's the case, because we have people from the same generations, sitting up there in Capitol Hill, and it's very divided in terms of, I think it boils down to freedom, yes. and freedom of earning. And so there's a different perspective, and I'm not saying this as, across the board. I'm just, trying to give some, rational thought to, why is it that you have more R's that are supportive of this tech and not as many D's? Now, not all D's are completely, gone in a direction where they want government to control everything, because they're more centrist. And a lot of the R's are more centrist. So, but for some reason, it seems to be divided on party lines and not necessarily generational. I could be off by that. I don't know. What do you think, Chip?
Well, I go ballistic when I hear this argument about generation. Look, I'm not a young guy anymore, but I've got a very good handle of tech and what's going on. My dad just turned 80. He knows a lot about what tech and what's going on and can figure a lot of stuff out. And was always really good at, on his computer or helping people. Somebody put out their tweet and I went off on him because they're like, if you have a problem with your iPhone, do you tend to ask your parent, or do you tend to ask your kid? Yeah, my kid knows a lot about it, but I could just as very well ask my dad, who just turned 80, who's very, he's always been very tech. He's been a techie and it's not a generational thing. It's a understanding, right? And the Sherrod Brown was a perfect example of this. He comes out of the gate, he starts complaining and going off about how bad it is. And you have spent like even a few minutes. I mean, everything is all these senators have a staff of people. They have people to take care of them. They have interns. There's a lot of people that are younger that they're surrounded by. They make the zero effort to get out there and make something happen. So for you to be completely in the dark about it and have, it's like the Shermanator, Jeff. I mean, he was so out in left field with his comments. Everybody was trying to understand it, ask really sensible questions from both sides of the aisle. Yeah, you could criticize or tweak somebody for the way they asked the question, but there was a real willingness to learn and have an educational session where we're not seeing that at all here. Nothing like it.
No, and that's interesting too. I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea that, the Senate is more divisive than the House. And it's an interesting, statement coming from that this was the banking committee. So there's probably obvious reasons as to why there's a little animosity towards crypto, mainly because of the committee that it's sitting in. When you have the Financial Services Committee in the House, it's really addressing, a lot of different elements within the economy versus banking, so if they're really just, talking about the potential threat to banking. Now we know, who pays the Shermanator's bills, right? So if the Shermanator's lobbyists and most of his benefactors or, supporters of his campaign are in the banking space, then you kind of know where he's going to vote. And here in the Senate, the banking committee, it kind of makes sense. Hey, you know what? They're there because they care about and they're supporting or laying out the rules of the road for banks. And that's it. Maybe it wasn't the right committee to be in front of. Maybe it should have been in front of the entire Senate.
But also the whole idea of the stablecoin, it's like, okay, so let's take Gary Gensler's argument. If it's on the efforts of others, you label it a security. Okay, well, guess what? A stablecoin's tied to the USD. Almost all of them are tied to the USD. It may fluctuate a tenth of a, or maybe 100th of a cent. But more or less it's tied, right? So a dollar is a dollar and it's always tied to it. So you're not expecting it to rise. Now they're talking about what's it tied to, what kind of assets. Who cares?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Who cares? Now look at this right here. Tom Emmer actually tweeted this out. He actually said a bad take. That's all he did. He retweeted this and put bad take. So let's listen to this. This is well, we're going to get into a story. Tony. This is Senator Karen right here, and that's not my words. That's Elon Musk. We're going to get into that story. That's another.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's another.
For a run, the peg could
that's another great story.
Unlike other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, stable coins like Tether and USDC.
She doesn't own it. She has to look down, Jeff. Like
that's
stable coins like Tether and USDC and Circle and. You could rattle those off the top of your head. Anybody in this audience could rattle those right off the top of your head. Well, everybody could, but let's listen in here.
Let's see.
Are supposedly pegged to the dollar. And the reason for this is to reassure people that stable coins are as stable as using the dollars you have in your wallet or in your checking account. A stable coin dollar, in other words, will supposedly be worth a real dollar. Now, that would make it a lot easier and a lot safer to trade among different tokens, to put up collateral for a risky bet, or even to pay for a cup of coffee at your local bodega. But I want to examine whether or not the stablecoin talk matches the stablecoin reality. Ms. Goldstein, let's say that I own $10 worth of Tether or
Here she goes again.
USDC. If I want to trade my $10 worth of these tokens, am I guaranteed to get $10 back?
No, Senator. You're sort of dependent on the exchange where you're trading it. Because as a US retail customer, I cannot go to Circle and say, please redeem my USDC. And Tether explicitly says no US customer can redeem Tether. So I have to trade it on an exchange. Sometimes it fluctuates. Sometimes it's a little above the dollar. Sometimes it's a little below. But if there were a run, the peg could collapse.
Here's another dim bulb in the whole equation as well.
Who is this?
It's nobody. It's
Who
another
is Alexis Goldstein?
a big nobody, Jeff. That's who that is. It's nobody. It's another
representing
academia.
Anybody? Nobody?
Another academia. I looked at who the list was, but in other words, why don't you be a little more specific? When it could be a little more than, you're talking about tenth of a percent. I mean, it's ridiculous to think about that. It's 0.000. It's 0.999996, or it's, I mean, for all case and purpose, or it's a little bit over, but we're not talking about, it could be $4, it could be minus 30 cents. I mean, this is, she doesn't go on and clarify this argument, and she sort of plays into almost like it was a setup question, almost like we're watching theater here, Jeff.
Yep, that's true. Hey, so Alexis Goldstein, according to Open Markets, is a financial regulatory expert and former Wall Street professional. Go figure, Wall Street. She previously worked on financial regulatory policy, climate finance. Not sure what that is. Consumer and investor consumer and investor protection. Maybe Gary needs to take that class. And higher education for Americans for financial reform. What in the world? That's right. That's another one. Higher education for Americans for financial reform.
Jeff,
I like how they just like making these things up.
Can we do that on our bios, Jeff? Let's make all kinds of stuff. We are, supreme blockchain experts in the exacting science of DeFi, and make up all this stuff and all these titles and everything. But she's completely misrepresenting this. But let's listen.
Yeah. But hey, here's where she has some credibility. Prior to working in advocacy, so that was all advocacy, which is all the nonsense part. Goldstein spent 7 years working on Wall Street as a programmer at Morgan Stanley in electronic trading, and as a business analyst at Merrill Lynch and Deutsche Bank in equity derivatives.
Okay. So what has she done in blockchain? Nothing.
According to this, nothing.
Correct.
Nothing.
Yeah, right. So bring her in there because
no interaction with blockchain according to that.
I will ask you a series of questions. Will you agree with me? Of course I will. Okay, you're good. Come on in. We'll talk about it.
And we also don't really know necessarily what's backing all of these stablecoins, right? Tether is.
Hold on a sec. I want to get into that. Okay, I promise.
I think they
because I want to just underscore this point that if Tether's tokens were actually backed 1-to-1, it would be one of the 50 largest banks in the country. But we know that it is not. And that's because, according to Tether's own report, only about 10% of the assets backing its stablecoin are real dollars in the bank. 90% is something else, not real dollars.
Bitcoin.
And if that worries you, there's a little more news on this one. The report that 10% of Tether's stablecoins are backed up by dollars is not actually verified by a comprehensive audited financial statement or verified by any government regulator.
Is this kind of the beginning?
So, Professor Allen, let me ask you.
These questions are so set up, Jeff.
This is also them getting ready to go after Tether.
Oh yeah, we know that
there's a lot of orchestration here, but they were all, I mean, in all fairness, there are already a lot of concerns on Tether.
Right, Tether,
not being third party audited, and
single out the bad actor, Jeff. Why? I mean, they pulled all the stable coins, they put them all on the screen. What about USDC? I mean, what about?
That's interesting. They bring them up, they note the different stable coins, and then they single out one as the bad apple as a representation of all the others. Yeah, I mean, maybe we should single her out as a bad apple as a representation of what a senator shouldn't be or shouldn't have done, leading up in their career. Maybe that's a good one, maybe. All right. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Well, what about cultural appropriation? Is that something we should be talking about right now? Or is
I would like to know about
should
that.
we get into that some other time? I mean, build your whole career on it and collect a $400,000 annual check because you pretended to be somebody else. So
yeah, how do you back that? Imagine if you're 0.0001% of what you claim to be, and then the other 99.9999%, we don't really know exactly what it is because we don't know exactly what it's backed by.
Oh, we don't know what it's backed by. Nice. Touche, Jeff. Very well said.
Let's say I'm not the only one who wants to redeem my $10 worth of Tether or USDC for dollars. And maybe there's bad news in the market and people rush to cash in their stable coins. What would a run on the stablecoin market look like? Could it endanger our financial system?
Thank you for that question, Senator. So a number of the witnesses today have said that stablecoins don't engage in maturity transformation and therefore don't suffer the same fragilities as bank deposits and runs. And that's probably true to some degree. But a run on a stablecoin would look a lot like the runs that we've seen on money market mutual funds in 2008 and again in 2020. And it could also share dynamics with the foreign exchange crisis we've seen in the past, like the Mexican peso crisis. So if holders of the stablecoin suddenly lose confidence in either the ability of the issuer of the stablecoin or the reserve of assets backing it to maintain a stable value, they could seek to redeem or exchange their stablecoin en masse. And if they have direct redemption rights, that would force the issuer to liquidate its reserve of assets. So right now, I don't think that would have systemic consequences. If stablecoin holders are only using them to speculate, they're not really going to expect stability, and so runs will be less likely. But if a run did occur right now, I think the impact would probably be felt in the DeFi ecosystem. And that's why it's critical that we not provide this government support to the DeFi ecosystem.
Okay,
and
so let me go.
Boom, Jeff. She's throwing right in her face.
Shut her up.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing is, she just sits there and she's going to go at her, but she just totally destroyed her entire argument about the particular runs that have destroyed markets and mutuals and mutual funds and all that. So the other point is, she could have said there could be a run on the bank. Jeff, if there was a run on the banks tomorrow, the whole country would collapse. Yes or no? There's not enough money in the banks to be able to give the people the money. They just don't have it. You don't have the liquidity. If everybody went to a particular bank, even your local bank, to get the money you have in the bank out of the bank, they couldn't pay out all the money. They just don't have the cash on hand. You have a run in the bank, she'd have the same exact thing. And she just yaddles, yaps on like nothing, like she heard nothing of it. She's going to get her question, going to get her questions in. And the funny thing about it, when she talks about a run on stable, why would there be a run on stablecoin? Can anybody explain to me why there would be you put it in stablecoin because you don't want it in fiat. You want to park it somewhere.
Exactly.
Or you're going to get yield on it, right? She said, like, she brought up DeFi. You're going to be able to get something on it. I don't even know where to go with this. It's insane.
Oh my God. It's amazing though, because the way that, and who was that was answering that question? What was her name?
I don't know. I don't recall her name. You can look up who the people were, but that was man, it was a very well volleyed answer.
It was so well put, and it was just went way over Elizabeth Warren's head. There's no way she has a comeback for that. And then that Alexis, she's just saying a bunch of nothing. Yeah, and Warren was just like, he's just like a seal.
Well, JV called it. He said Alexis Goldstein's no better than Warren. Touche, man. Absolutely. No better. Potentially worse. But again, you bring people in there, so-called experts, because they can write a really interesting bio. So that's great.
Saying that she was reading from a prompter.
Well, this one, she was reading something
up.
She was
maybe
reading
she did write her statement,
She wrote that statement. She was reading that.
Yeah, she wrote it and she read it.
But it was complex.
It was super complex, and she got the message out, and it went way over Elizabeth Warren's head.
Now she's like, now I want to wait. Now what? That's what she says here. She's going to come back with something.
There. Sorry to interrupt, but let me go there.
Sorry to interrupt your argument that destroyed my argument, but let's go on.
I don't understand exactly what you said, but it was obviously a hell of a lot better than what I said, because what I said doesn't make any sense.
It's ridiculous.
We know that stable coins are not always stable. In fact,
Do we, Jeff? Jeff, do we know that stable coins are not always stable? In my opinion, anything that I've seen, I've not seen any evidence of that where they're not stable.
They go
Has-
from 99 cents to $1.01. That's about
Right.
it. And they hover
Yeah.
in that space.
That's about as stable as you can get. Have you ever seen it drop to
That's
70
pretty stable.
cents?
And as far as I know, other currencies aren't so stable.
No, not at all.
The foreign currency market constantly fluctuates. Constantly.
fact,
Our
it's worse
currency
than
against other currencies. Their currencies against our currency.
The rupee, yeah.
All right.
in
Well, let's see.
troubled economic times, people are most likely to cash out of risky financial products and move
This is the same exact nutty, useless argument she used in the last hearing. What if you want to do a cash out? She thinks
What if I
$10
invest
someone
my
buys
last $100?
Jeff, does she really think someone bought $10 of stable coins and then they're going to cash it out? Does she not think exchange charges fees? I mean, what do you think? Your bank charges fees. Your bank will charge you more in fees on a monthly basis than you're probably going to be cashing out $10 worth of USDC or Tether. I mean, this is absolutely loony. They also charge overdraft fees, all kinds of stuff banks are involved with.
into
See.
real dollars. Stable coins will take a nosedive precisely when people most need stability. And that run on the bank mentality could ultimately crash our whole economy. But there's another piece of the risk here, and you've headed in that
Especially when you
direction,
have too many
Professor
dollars in it.
Allen. DeFi is the most dangerous part of the crypto world. This is where the regulation is effectively absent, and no surprise, it's where the scammers and the cheats and the swindlers mix among part-time investors and first-time crypto traders.
the Congress?
In DeFi,
Congress. She's talking about
Congress.
Congress. She's talking about
Sounds about
her colleagues now, Jeff.
I think so.
Wait a minute. DeFi is the most dangerous place. Is it? Yeah, there's scammers in it, but I mean, there's so many legitimate projects out there that she's just gonna. This is just embarrassing for her and for everybody.
someone can't even tell if they're
Better
dealing
ask
with
questions.
a terrorist. Stable coins provide the lifeblood of the DeFi ecosystem. In DeFi, people need stable coins to trade between different coins, to trade derivatives, to lend and borrow money, all outside the regulated banking system. Without stable coins, DeFi comes to a halt. So, Professor Allen, does DeFi threaten our financial stability? And can DeFi continue to grow without stable coins?
I don't think DeFi can grow without stablecoins. I think it would struggle. Right now, I think DeFi is contained to the point where it won't impact financial stability. But if it grows, I think there's a real threat there, particularly if it becomes intertwined with our traditional financial system. And there is industry interest in pursuing this integration on both the traditional finance and the crypto side. So I think it's critical that stablecoins not be allowed to fuel that growth.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, this is risk to traders, risk to our economy. The time to act is before it all blows up. Stablecoins have no.
Anyway, so that's just a.
Oh my God, the time to act is before it all blows up.
First of all, fiat's blowing up.
Unbelievable.
Did she miss that we're at 7% inflation, Jeff? And they've done nothing about it. Nothing's been addressed about it. It's the worst it's been in 65 years. Not a word. It's like you can hear a pin drop in there, but they're talking about the threat of DeFi. First of all, DeFi will be able to survive. I totally disagree with that. You build DeFi, there's a lot of platforms you could build DeFi on that are not going to rely at all on a stable coin. And the stable coin issuers do not do lending. What's she talking about? There's no lending. And stable coin is a stable coin. That's it. Every stable coin issuer is not a lender. So what is she talking about when she says, oh, lending and all this and that? No, that's the banks. That's the banks she's speaking about.
Yeah, I mean it's so ludicrous. You know, they're trying to make this all. I mean, they're it's really, think about the fact that they're in the process of losing their Easy Street, their slush fund. These are people that come into government and they make millions and millions of dollars when they in government and when they leave. And it's a little bit absurd at this point to see how many millionaires are created, out of the halls of Congress. And it's just enough is enough, but the thing is that we know exactly, where the money's coming from. And they don't want that system to be rocked at all. They like this idea of being able to control the outcome of the populace. The more they can dictate, the more they control the flow of the money. the more they control the people, you know. So there's a couple elements that allow them to control the people, right? Healthcare, they control your healthcare, they can manipulate the people. And if they control the money flow, they can manipulate the people. And, you know, those are two, you know, key areas. And they've really launched a tirade of attacks over the past number of years, going after each one of those categories, you know, in this country and elsewhere. And they're afraid of DeFi. They're terrified of it.
Big
Terrified.
time. I like this. I just love Emmer's remark. That's the only reason I saw this, because Emmer tweeted this. Bad take. It's just fantastic. And then you have XRP Army here. He's like, we are 161 trillion in unfunded liabilities. What is she afraid of? What's next? What's the next Bitcoin discourse? Yeah, that's spot on right now. And I love this comment too by Dash. Says Tom Emmer is one of the few politicians I wouldn't put in prison.
That's a good one. And there's a handful. You know, there are a handful out there that are fighting the fight, and they understand the dynamics of what this you know, what this new technology, what this new innovation and this new asset class is bringing to the people. And overall, you can see them fighting it. They're fighting it tooth and nail, and they are going down because their ship is sinking. You know, Susie, their ship is sinking, and it's sinking fast. It's like they're on the
Big
Titanic.
time.
They're on the Titanic, and they're telling people not to use the life rafts because, you know, why would you want to get into the life raft when you've got this perfectly great cruise ship that you're in?
Well, Jeff, you go back to Sun Tzu, and you notice a lot of the R's are very quiet about all this. But you know how the old Sun Tzu saying goes: you never interrupt your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. So you just let them destroy themselves. Sit back, get the popcorn, you know, eat the popcorn, watch it self-destruct. This article right here is just so great. This was such a fun read. Elon Musk rips Liz Warren as Senator Karen after freeloading accusations. Now this right here.
Oh, this is so amazing.
Having taunted Bernie Sanders in November, tweeting that I keep forgetting that you're still alive. After the socialist senator spewed a standard pay your fair share diatribe, Elon has cranked up the progressive punishment amplifier to 11 tonight with the jab at none other than Senator Elizabeth Warren. And not one to miss an opportunity for some abuse. So Warren tweeted out, let's change the rigged tax code. So the person of the year, if you guys, we talked about this, he's the time person of the year. So the person of the year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading of everyone else. Well, Jeff, what an ignorant statement is that? Wait, Elon Musk is freeloading off everyone?
Freeloading off everyone. Yeah, he's let's see.
Everyone else.
Created how many jobs? How many people are driving his vehicles?
Tens of thousands, Jeff. It's insane.
You know what kind of payloads are being flown up into space? And this one guy is freeloading off of everybody else. And here she sits in the halls of Congress freeloading off of everybody. So, I mean, this is just, you can't make this stuff up.
Well, people don't realize that. Now, when Elon Musk he was part of the PayPal mafia. He was one of the, the co-founders of PayPal. And when he came out of that, I think he had something like $180 million. He dumped half of it into Tesla, the other one into SpaceX, and he almost lost it all, you know, and he was somebody who just kept on going, and she's calling him a freeloading over everyone else. So Elon Musk fired back and said, you remind me when I was a kid and my friend's angry mom would just randomly yell at everyone for no reason. Please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen, which is,
oh my God,
hilarious. Man.
That is funny though.
And she wrote back, stop projecting. Oh, wow. That's some comeback.
Oh, she's so tough.
Tough, you know.
Maybe she should have kept her opinion to herself. This is the problem with Twitter. You throw it back and forth and there's no end.
No, the best part of it is Elon Musk's phallic symbol for his avatar, and they're tweeting, and that's up in the corner while he's tweeting this. I mean,
look at this.
It's a SpaceX rocket, but it's just, I gotta tell you, man, there's something great about that whole thing. And
oh my God.
And then so this is right here. So So, oh, I'm sorry. No, he
Maybe she
fired.
should be the
He
first person.
no, he
Huh?
fired back. Stop rejecting. And then he shared
Oh,
this story. Sorry about that. I thought it was her, but
oh,
it was
oh,
he
okay.
fired that back. Stop rejecting. Now it makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then he put this. He attached this story. She's a fraud. Her lies about being Native American disqualify her from the presidency and the Senate. So he went there.
Man, he did go there.
Yeah. So
And
he
that's
went
not a
there.
joke anymore. I mean, that's serious. You know, that is very, very serious. And that falls down to the people. You know, it's the people's responsibility to make things right. And there's an individual that does not, I don't care what side of the aisle you are on, politically, economically, whatever, there's somebody that doesn't deserve to be where she sits based on how she got there. And people have to make that decision. Fortunately, she's not from our state, and that's not our responsibility. That's someone else's responsibility. So let them figure that out.
That is absolutely true, Jeff. I definitely think that the whole thing is just insanity. I thought we should maybe cover this one here because I know we just all that about the hearing. It's a lot more of the same. But Moonchaser put this out, as you guys know. She is she's an ambassador, a brand ambassador. She's done a great job with disseminating information out there. But this came out yesterday. I thought this is good just for people to kind of. She talked about the Vagabond airdrop update. I know a lot of people in the community participated. Team Vagabond and I have been inundated with requests and questions. We acknowledge your frustrations and appreciate your constructive criticisms. From my understanding, this is what happened. So it's just a 10-panel. She says, due to the criteria set for the airdrop, unfortunately, not everybody who participated will be eligible. Vagabond implemented a more stringent approach in order to combat the huge problem of bots and trust line farmers rampant on the XRPL. To protect recipients of the AD and to protect future investors, we implemented and wish to iterate the following. First off, the registration form provided the base data that was time-stamped, taking precedence over which when one had set up the Vagabond trust line. And then what people don't realize, there was a limited supply. There's only 20 million Vagabond here. The elimination process included applying a community blacklist provided by XRPL validators and the like, applying a software tool that scanned for multiple registrations, which that also happened, parent with multiple sub-accounts. So again, what they're doing, and the reason they were taking the time to do this was to weed out people that were so unfairly taken advantage, and they did the best job they could to weed them out. You don't want a parent with all these mass sub accounts because you're kind of double, triple, quadruple dipping. So I think here they made every reasonable effort to get a really fair airdrop. And this led to a total number of about 24,399 accounts that can participate in the airdrop. And this is based on the XRP account balances at the time, according to the data available to us on November 23rd.
And that maxes in. There were a lot more than that, right? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
40,000.
Yeah, so by the time they announced the registration was closing on November 26th, they'd already received 159,869 registrations. So think about that, Jeff. So this is interesting in a lot of ways because you think about how big the community is. Can you imagine? Let's just call it 160,000 registrations. 160,000 XRP holders registered for this airdrop. And about 40,000 accounts from the total met the eligibility criteria. So they weeded out almost 19,000, almost 20,000 accounts. Unfortunately, we will not be able to fulfill on all the requests. In addition, upon announcing the airdrop eligibility tool, we unfortunately discovered the confusion of everyone that the data had not synced properly due to the limited entries. And this had to do with Google Cloud Tech. This is what they use. They use a Google form on this for the registration process. Sync equals database, tool equals the validation. So once the database issue was rectified, the eligibility results did not change as the software did, as was programmed. We only have a limited number of Vagabond or VGB to allocate. And unfortunately, the issue of the unsynced data made a lot of people question the validation tool. And I know we had a lot of people on Twitter and everything, bring this up. Issues not addressed in this thread will be answered in the public Twitter spaces with the Vagabond team scheduled for later this week. The AD is still in the review stage, and changes will be made leading up to the airdrop itself. So thank you for your patience. And unfortunately, I think that, Moonchaser has been very upfront. The whole team has been upfront with this entire airdrop. And it is a project that everybody's looking forward to. But I also have to say that I also want to make sure that people in the community are being respectful, especially Moonchaser. She's done an incredible job of getting really solid, good information out. And she's taken a lot of unfair incoming, you name it, insults, whatever. And again, she's doing her best. And also the Vagabond team. Now, what might have changed, and again, it's a learning experience. Look, it's kind of like—
What are your thoughts on that, though, Chip? I mean, I look at this. They knew they had, what, 25 million that they were going to distribute?
Well, in hindsight, Jeff, there's things that
maybe they should have done it a little bit differently. You can kind of estimate how many, what the possibilities are. Look at how Flare did a 1-for-1.
Right, but that's—
and dropped it on everybody.
Can't
Maybe
apples. They had 20 million supply. They had 20 million supply,
and they told everybody up front there was 20 million.
Well, they also took snapshots along the way and said where they were. It wasn't like they dropped. But again, when you come, Jeff, there's so many damn trust lines. There's a whole 2 accounts that all they do is drop XRPL trust lines, and any name you can hit, or you can just Google, click on some random word. That's what they're named. How did they know in hindsight how many people would come after this? How did they know if they even get to that 23,000 number? They didn't know. They didn't know if 5 people would. They didn't know if, they had no sort of idea. Now,
and
what might have—
it was a marketing effort that kind of blew up beyond expectation.
Yeah, and I also look at this too, that one of the things that I think it was unfortunate was they had to create that forum because there were so many accounts with sub accounts, and there were so many bots, and they were doing the right thing by making sure that the people were legit and not did this massive greed where everybody was setting all these trust accounts. So they did a good job. But what might have changed and again, this might be a lesson going forward for a lot of other people, but using the Google Sheet wasn't a great idea, only because they had complications with that. But as each person registered, if you saw that tick down based on— the other problem they had too is there's no way to actually see how much they had in their wallet. It's complicated. This whole thing is very complicated. I don't blame really necessarily the team. It just blew up. It got way super successful. And I just think it's not a great reflection or a look for the entire crypto Twitter to be just assaulting not only the project, but also going after Moonchaser.
But maybe they should have, they could have done the whole thing a little bit differently.
Well, how would they have done it differently? I'm saying, but how?
I would have said, here's how we're going to orchestrate it. There's going to be 20 million, they're going to match 1,000. So the first they said the first X, and then that's it. And then at some point you close it and say, we're closed. Don't let anybody else register.
Right. But you see they had a little bit of a problem. And also you need to find out how much, the max was 1,000 that you would have. Maybe some accounts had less than 1,000 in the trust line. Plus they had to weed out the bad actors. And again, a lot of the bad actors, I think, ruined a lot of this for a lot of different people. They had almost 29,000. You think there were more? A third of them were bad actors, right? They were, and it probably was more than that. But how do you try going through 20,000 to figure out if they're real or not? You can write all kinds of AI tools.
And at the end of the day, it's free airdrop. So
right, this is free,
so
man.
it's not like you don't have to. They don't have to. Yeah, they don't have to do any of it. It helps them. It helps people in the community, and that's it. People get a little angry because they don't, get to take advantage of the airdrop, but that's how it goes.
And I wanted to put this up.
Get some and you'll miss some, and people are learning the whole trust line airdrop process. It's going to be interesting to see how solo, how that's going to unfold, because that's changed drastically in terms of how it first started.
I don't know about that, Jeff. I really, man, I don't know. That's going to be—
Doesn't that one seems like they're pushing more people to solo and trying to get people to buy solo and pump the price of solo.
Well, that was another one where I thought, they come out to illustrate how to use— they came out with a formula and they used an example, and people were like, no, we were supposed to get 20% of every XRP. Yeah, in the example. But this was another case where they had massive amount of people registering for it. So it dropped to 0.002 or something like that.
Because in that case, they want to give everybody.
Right,
They're
but
giving it
again,
to
it's
everyone.
free, Jeff. I mean, you're like going to complain it was supposed to be 20% of, and then it drops lower. Hey, they explained what the formula was up front. A lot of people don't read, they don't pay
Yep.
attention.
Yeah,
Today,
that's
Jeff,
it.
I don't know if you noticed this today, Jeff, but a lot of
Of
people
course.
were trillionaires on CoinMarketCap.
Oh,
So everyone was like putting screenshots of how much, they were just trillionaires overnight. I was like, so in CoinMarketCap, to make light of the situation, they said, well, we're having issues with it. But then they put this tweet out here. How did it feel to be a trillionaire for a couple hours laughing about their own stupidity? And then I love this tweet right here comment, which was Federal Reserve, hold my beer. That was just fantastic. Good stuff right there. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't real. You couldn't cash it out. People were like, I should have sold. It wasn't real. It was just an anomaly. It wasn't an actual deal. And then also too, Jeff, you remember Jebsy from the creator of Xshroom?
yeah,
Was
I
at
forget
the
Jebsy.
XRPL. So
XRPL meetup.
this is kind of cool what he's doing here. I thought we should really kind of take a look at this. But this is donate to the XRPL for an NFT. This is a really cool thing that he's doing here. And again, helping people out and also getting something for it. So this is it right here. You donate for 125 XRP donated you'll be gifted 0.5 of an Xshroom, which is one FT, and 250 XRP donated will gifted one Xshroom, right? And you can see the bar already is almost about halfway. The goal is to reach 25,000 XRP. That's 125 Xshrooms. That's 250 NFTs total, gifted back to the donators. This will be donated to the XRP Labs to set up an entire history node named after the Xshrooms community. So this is a cool thing. And Jeff, remember how many people came up to us and up to Jebsy like, hey, how do I get one of these? How do I buy it?
Yeah.
Well, here you go. This is how you do it. So you guys look up at XRP Shrooms and donation for that Shrooms. It breaks it down here in the tweet. It helps build the XRP ledger while gifting an Xshrooms NFT. Thanks to Yoke for making it possible. Please be sure that you have the Xshroom Trust Line button added on Zum. You can donate as much as you like. Please give me time to send back the token for the donation. Jeff, this is a cool thing, man. All day long, a very cool thing. Very well done, orchestrated. This is one of those things where you're giving back, but you're getting something for it, and something of value and something very cool. And you can watch the progress bar. We showed the progress bar right there. It's almost halfway. So this is taken off.
That's great. Nice.
So I wouldn't wait on this one. I'd probably go out there and jump in that. But I thought that was very cool.
Very cool.
125 will get you gifted a half Xshroom, and 250 will get you. And what's that at right now? What's the total of XRP? Because you want to like calculate what that Xshroom is.
80 cents.
Yeah, so do the math on that. 250 times 80 right there, Jeff. I don't know what that is, but somebody will tell us in the chat.
Someone will figure it out.
What is John Doe seeing? Second stream. Just looking in here.
What?
Yeah, so this one here. So this is part of it too. Solar price not watered down. The amount you'll receive has been watered down.
That's right.
It's not. It hasn't. Well, it hasn't really been watered down.
They've decreased the amount.
They didn't. How did they decrease the amount?
Well, because it's going to keep decreasing depending on total trust lines.
Yeah, but you're coming along the line from the solar drop on the XRP. You're thinking that there's a set amount. They used an example that people took as gospel.
But I don't know how people thought it was 5-1 for solo. I always thought it was 1-1, and now it's 1.5-1.
Right, and it'll probably be less than that once it rolls around, especially if you get a lot
good
of
on a 1-1. You imagine if you hold, a little bit of solo and they go 1-1 on your solo.
Well, it depends. I mean, if solo drops down from $3 and it goes to 1, then took a 30% loss. So it's
that's probably not good.
probably not a great thing. And it depends. I think a lot of this will be based upon what happens on December 20th. Bob Rass, CEO, came out of Sologenics and said, hey, we're going to introduce something. I still think it's going to be a DeFi where you can stake your solo and earn more. So that will help people with the sell pressure. It doesn't matter. People want to do it anyway.
Yeah. Yep. That'll be good. It's all good. Throw in your XRP, and BitTrue is going to accept the solo drop. So if you have your XRP and Bitrue, you get your Solo.
That's right. And it's like, hey, you got something for nothing. It's like, well, it's the only space where that can happen and people get angry. It's like, I didn't make it. Well, yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
the first 24,000, 23,000, whatever made it. Everybody can't make it. It's like, it's just kind of the way it is. So, I mean, a lot of people a lot of angry energy, which I think was sort of misplaced here and there. And I saw this where David Schwartz, I thought,
Solo is an excellent project, by the way.
oh, it's an excellent project.
Yeah, Sologenic is an outstanding project. They've been around for a while. The idea that they're even doing a drop, it was shocking to me.
Absolutely.
Because they've already been around. It already has a value.
We had
so
Reza
they're coming out and basically saying, here, we're giving you guys some free money.
We had Reza on the show, Reza Bashar on the show back in, I want to say 2 years ago. Maybe.
Yeah, we need to bring him back on. We need to reach out to him and say, hey, come back on.
We should do that for sure. I'm gonna check and see when we had Rez on there. I hope he's on I hope he was part of our interviews.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was.
Up there. He's definitely in the interviews.
Let's see if he's in the interviews second. Let me use there he is. So
and Solo is kind of crushing it too for a little bit.
It was up to $6 for a while, but let's see the slowest slowest YouTube channel with the fastest search of any website. Look at that. Bam.
Right. I believe it. Click that. There you are.
There
Look at that. CTO and co-founder. Why the XRP ledger? What is Sologenic? That's right. Coinfield. What was it? What's the date?
November 5th, 2019.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Holy crap.
I was right on the money with that. You guys can
2 years ago.
That was before we started. So you can only watch it. That was before we started it was January 1st of 2021 where we started the audio podcast only. So
wow.
that's why we didn't have it. Isn't that weird? We didn't have it then. It was a year and a couple months before we even started that. But you can watch this. And I remember, I mean, it was sense at the time, but again, being U.S. citizens, we couldn't purchase it, Jeff.
No.
So
one other thing that we were left out in the cold.
I left out in the cold for sure. And since we're on here right now,
check it out. Check out that cool website.
Yeah, since we're on the website, and guys, nice. A lot of people always say, "Well, how do I support the channel?" No, we don't have a what are those accounts? Patreons. We don't have a Patreon, but there's a way to basically come into the site and support us either monthly or annually. You can go in there and do it that way. And like I said, the best part of that, Patreon takes about 10 to 12%. YouTube takes 30%. This feature we're using on here is basically 3%. So it's well-rounded and great, but you don't have to do that. If you want to, you just get emails. You come down here, scroll down here, and I'll drop it in there, guys, so you can click on it. But just go in there. If you haven't signed up for the email, sign up for the emails. That is free. There's no charge for that, but you can go ahead, put your name in there, put your email address in there, and then you'll get an email after the show with links. So and also you'll have the ability to the podcast, the audio podcast itself, listen to it on whatever network you prefer, or you can also watch it as well. So that's just a little more on the convenience side.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna get we're gonna make sure our merch gets up there. We will put a calendar link up there as well. so we'll get all sorts of cool things.
Yeah, we're gonna put a calendar link here because everyone's like, the notices don't go out. So we'll do that. We'll throw a calendar link. So you just you click it, download it to whatever calendar you use, and then it will send you that alert on your phone based on your calendar alert, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Good stuff.
That's pretty much
really good stuff. Sologenics at 473, by the way.
Jeff, share your OnlyFans link. We'll donate there.
Okay, no problem.
OnlyFans. That's funny, Jeff. I didn't know you had an OnlyFans. That's pretty awesome.
I don't.
It's no longer 20
But I was
cents
reading an article. There was an article that came out, and it was saying that that mortgage companies are starting to turn down people that have OnlyFans accounts.
That's ridiculous.
And they said they're looking it up, and the reason why they're getting turned down for mortgages and loans is because they see repetitive payments coming through, like or expenditures or whatever. I don't know. Very bizarre things in this.
There's always a way to figure out how to discriminate and how to deplatform, or because of someone's choices. But okay, private companies can do that.
That's it.
So
That is
that's all we
true.
have. You guys know our broadcast schedule. I don't think we need to voice it, Jeff. I think
When do we stream, Chip?
Jeff, 6 days a week. You know that.
Really?
Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then Saturday mornings, you do your rants from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Those are always a lot of fun too. And
They
then
are.
if you're brand new here and you've never been to On the Chain before, hit the subscribe button, the bell notifier. That way you get notified 20 to 30 minutes before we go live, which is, I think it's cool. You know, I got my notification today. I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah, I got
right. We're
mine
going
too.
live in 30 minutes.
It's always good to know
It's
that,
very
Jeff.
cool.
Sometimes I have to set my alarm because I get busy doing stuff around the house or doing something, or I'm out. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get back in time and just in the nick of time. But that's all we have, guys. Listen, we'll see you again tomorrow night.
It's
Wake me up
8
next
days a week.
That's a great song by the Beatles right there, 8 days a week.
That's it.
That's it.
Going-
So we're out of here,
going for the
guys. We'll
record.
catch you on the next one. Chip and Jeff, we are out of here. Take care. Have a good one.
No.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.